what we're dealing with, of course, as you can see, are postcards. Now, why on earth would a museum like us be collecting postcards? Well, the reasons are that they tell stories in the same way as objects do. In fact, postcards are objects, but they're just flat photographs printed on paper. So what you can see here are some postcards of different views of pre-modern Yemen. I think I'll hold some up because they show different aspects. So these are the traditional skyscrapers of the desert. This is the Manhattan of Yemen, as it's sometimes been called. A tradition of architecture that just goes up rather than across. So tower houses with multiple stories, in height that is. This on the left is from Sana'a. These are some of the houses that are being destroyed in the war. And on the right, the ancient city of Shibam. So you can see, you can count the number of stories by the rows of windows going up the building. Now, this tradition of multi-story architecture, we know, was a very ancient local tradition, because excavations in some of the archaeological sites in Yemen have found the foundations for these dating back to, again, over 2,500 years ago. Now, some of the other cards show other aspects that have also modern resonances. So, in the current situation, in the time of conflict, fuel is very difficult and very expensive to get hold of in Yemen now. And here you have an earlier example of the difficulty of obtaining fuel, in this case for cooking. So the camels are coming to market in Aden, and they're bringing the brushwood used in the fires. So that, in a sense, led to deforestation as well. So camels are used everywhere, of course. So here we've got, on the right, a case of somebody loading up outside a potter's market on the edge of Aden. So pottery, of course, was universal before the use of plastics in the modern day for containing water and everyday storage. In Yemen today, one of the biggest problems before the conflict, and it'll continue to be a problem after the conflict, is water supply, because the population is outpacing local available water supply. And here you see a local solution in the 1960s, which is a camel-drawn water tanker. And finally, perhaps we show this one, which is a card from the early 20th century, showing a European gentleman posing in front of the heavily restored water tanks of Aden, so water storage tanks. And the backs of some of these cards are sometimes quite funny and rather poignant, because they give early social messaging examples. So this is written by somebody on May the 6th, 1922. And he's obviously a school teacher, because he's writing to the lower public school for boys in Shanghai. So this is a letter that's going to the east. I don't know if there's anyone from Shanghai watching, but it might be good to comment. And it says, and it begins, "This is a much hotter place than even Shanghai in summer. Rocks, clay, and a few miserable trees that have to be watered every day. Every drop of rainwater is stored in these great cisterns." So he's making a direct connection between his message and the picture. It is said these were built by the Romans. Unfortunately, that's not true. And he obviously has a personal view about these camels that are absolutely everywhere, because he says they're mangy, ill-smelling, and evil-looking. Now, this message brings us a little bit more up to date. This is on the back of the postcard showing the skyscrapers of Shibam, and it says, "Dear all, we're just sitting in the Red Sea coast, watching people going out to swim in shark-infested waters. Not for me." 30th of the 10th, 1997. So these are, in a sense, really valuable because, not in a financial sense, but in a social sense, because they help connect the place with the people. And that's effectively what we do in museums. Are there any more questions coming out of that?